Maqasidic Tafsir.
Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end? Pursuing the higher aim, learning the meaning of every page. Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end?
Assalamu alaikum. Sunnahfollowers presents a new class, the Maqasidic Tafsir, being taught and brought to you by Ustada Layla Nashiba. Please stay tuned, streaming on all major platforms, right here on channel Sunnahfollowers.
This is the book, the Maqasidic Tafsir. And you know, he's got several books out. We're going to, inshallah, go through all of them, but you got to crawl before you learn to walk. And y'all saw today, Sheikh Saud is he's kind of surprised that I'm teaching this. I told y'all, this is the science of the Quran. And you don't learn this stuff unless you are at El Azhar University. You know, Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd's from Egypt like me, like my father's people. Hello, El Azhar. There we go. There we go, y'all. El Azhar. So this is what they teach at El Azhar. You're not going to learn this stuff anywhere else, this type of stuff. So that's why Sheikh Saul was kind of surprised at the questions y'all asked about the different types of Maqasidic, different types of approaches. Dramali knew what you guys were asking because he's always listening. He's always logged in to see what's going on in these classes. So he stays up to date. So he knew what y'all were asking. And like I told y'all, Jamali uses all the approaches. The class that you just had, let's talk about that. The class that Sheikh Saud just taught, which tafsir trend was he using? What method, what methodology, or what method was Sheikh Saud using in his Quran class that he just taught? What do y'all think? What method was he using? What's the name of his class? That'll give you the answer right there. What was his class all about? He's teaching what? What is he teaching?
He's teaching Quran, so I say analyze.
Yeah, but what type of Quran is he teaching? What is he teaching you about the Quran? He's taking different surahs. There you go. Say it.
Interpretation.
Okay, he's using interpretation. He's teaching you how to interpret the meaning of the Quran and do what with it? Do what with it? He's giving you the meaning. He's using the analytical approach, giving you the meaning based on words. And then he's teaching you how to apply it to your life. So he's using analytical and comparison. Analytical and comparison. Okay? Analytical. And what's the higher aim of his approach? For you to be able to take the meaning of the Surat al-Nas and implement it as a protection in your life. So he's giving you interpretation and implementation. He's interpreting the meaning of those verses to you and how you can take those verses and turn and apply them to your life. So here's this interpretation and implementation. That's the technique he's using. And that's the simple technique. Interpretation and implementation. Whereas Dr. Asim, he's using interpretation too, but he uses different methods. What methods does Dr. Asim use? Come on, it's easy. Look at him. I tell you. What's his name? Dr. Asim, he uses science and he uses the linguistics of the Arabic language. Dr. Asim will break down the meaning. He's using the beautiful language of the Quran, the Arabic. So his methodology is based on linguistics and science. And then he takes that linguistic and scientific approach and applies it to your life. So compares it to your life. So he uses scientific, linguistic, comparative. On the other hand, good job, Sakina. Sakina got it right. On the other hand, Dr. Dramali uses all of them, every single one. He'll use language, which is linguistics. He'll use science. He'll use the analytical approach. He'll also use, I forgot what all I said. He uses them all. I need my coffee. I'm gonna get my coffee out in a minute. Yeah, he uses them all. So again, I was very surprised at you brothers when y'all asked that question, because it shows me that you guys are learning something from Layla, because this class is not easy. This, like, what did Sheikh Saud tell y'all? Stick with just reading Ibn Kathir. Ain't that what he told y'all? Just read Ibn Kathir and read the Quran called the clear meaning, because it breaks everything down in simple terms. But he doesn't understand it. I'm taking y'all to a different level. I'm trying to teach y'all the science of it, so you can see how the different scholars come about answering your questions. When you guys ask the people of knowledge questions about Islam, I'm teaching y'all how they come to their answers, and how when they explain a verse of the Quran to you, what they use. Okay, this is advanced. This is not for the average Muslim to learn. This is not something that you have to learn. Remember, we talked about what knowledge we have to seek. You don't have to learn the science of the Quran. You don't even have to learn the science of the Hadith. Okay? But this is extra that I'm teaching you. That's why I'm asking you guys, please support this website. Good time to put that in there. We need donations to help support this website, guys, because this is the beginning of the month. All these classes I'm teaching you are free. But these are classes that you wouldn't learn anywhere else except El Azhar University, to be honest. Okay? Y'all got that? All right, so let's get started. The last time we met, I talked about how there are several different methods that are used. And let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. Hold on. This it? Is that it, Layla? Is this it? Oh, yeah, I think so. Give me a second. Okay. Okay. So today we're going to speak. I remember I talked to you guys last week. We talked about the analytical approach. A lot of Quran interpreters, will use the analytical approach. I do. And the thematic approach. I do. I use analytical, thematic, and comparative, all three. Okay? So today what I'm going to do is break down the analytical approach and the thematic approach of interpreting the Quran. And by the way, we do the same thing with the Hadith. I use the analytical approach and the thematic approach with the Hadith too. The science of Hadith is similar. So we'll be covering pages 69 through 72 of the book. But before we get into that, y'all know we have to have a quiz. A quiz for what we discussed the last time we met in this class. I hope you guys have been listening to the video. Let's see how well you can answer these questions. Question number 1, easy question. Who was the first interpreter of the Quran? In other words, who gave us our first interpretation? Who did the first explanation, clarification, tafsir, in other words, of the Quran? Every
The
Muslim.
Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
What do you guys think about her answer? Every Muslim on this planet should know this answer. Who was the first interpreter of the Quran? Let me see. Facebook, YouTube, Rumbo, LinkedIn. By the way, LinkedIn is here. These are Arabs, and make sure y'all don't give the answer out. The Arabs, let the non-Arabic people answer. Plus, most of y'all are Islamic teachers. Y'all know these answers. Sakina, people in Zoom room, Mina, Fresno, what's her name? Sabrine, Anissa. Let me hear y'all give some answers. I don't want Yasmin sitting here popping out answers. She better be watching to see that brother don't.
Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him.
Okay.
Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him.
Okay. What'd you say, Mina?
I say the first interpretation of the Quran was the angel Jibril, because he is the one interpreted to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Wow, that's a good answer. And look at Nadia. Nadia said the same thing. By the way, guys, let me just share this with you. Y'all know I wear Somali clothes normally. Well, today I got my first outfit from Tanzania. Oh, yeah. Sister Nadia and Amalia, my babies from Tanzania, Burundi. They sent me some a nice abaya with beautiful kimars. So I got my first Tanzanian outfit. And boy, do I look beautiful in it. I have to say, girl, it's purple. Y'all know purple. Layla can hold it down. She can hold down purple. I'm going to wear it tomorrow. I'm just going to wear it just for a couple classes and take it off because it's a beautiful dress. If I ever got married, I would wear that dress to get married. That's how dressy and nice it is. It's a dress that I would wear if I were getting married. So I'm going to put it on and just so y'all can see it's beautiful. It's not from Somali. Y'all know I wear Somali stuff normally. This is Tanzania, the coast. Zanzibar. Is that a different country? Zanzibar is a different country. Hey, Nadia, is Zanzibar in Tanzania? Pfizer? Am I a different part of the world? Probably. We'll get it together. But anyway, getting back to the topic. That's a nice answer. Oh, it is? Zanzibar. So I was right. Zanzibar is in Tanzania? Oh, you got me wanting to travel there now. Zanzibar. Oh. All right. Back to it, guys. Got to get a little female stuff in there. I love getting the clothes from Africa. I got outfit from Mali. I got 4% Mali in me. I got outfits from Guinea, from Ghana, I got 2% all of these people in me. What's the other one? Where my girl from AWA, I got her peoples, Somali. Now I got Tanzania. Hello. All right. So anyway, that's a good answer when y'all said Jibril, but the correct answer is the first interpreter of the Quran is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because remember, guys, the Prophet Muhammad is the one that conveyed it to us. The angel Jibril didn't convey to us. He was the angel of revelation sent to the Prophet Muhammad. He wasn't sent to us. So the first interpreter of the Quran was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we talked about that the last time we met. His tafsir is it. That's it. That's the best. That's the best. And from his interpretation of the meaning of the Quran is where all the others stemmed from. Okay. And so now let's look at the next question. The other approaches The different approaches to interpreting the Quran branched off from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's interpretation. That's another reason why I wanted to talk about ijazah. Remember, y'all got that ijazah from Sheikh Saud? What is ijazah? It's a certificate saying that you know something, and it should trace back to the Prophet. The same with Quran recitations. When people were like Dr. Asim, he memorized the Quran by heart with the meaning and stuff. He learned it from his father, who learned it from so-and-so, 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 so-and-so. It should trace all the way back to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's ijazah. Okay? So the because all these other different approaches to interpretation, stem from the Prophet Muhammad's. So now we talked about the different approaches. Is analytical an approach to interpretation? Yes or no? Is analytical an approach to interpretation?
Yes.
What y'all think? Y'all agree with her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and so when we talk about the analytical approach, what does that mean, Amina Fresno? Amina Fresno, explain what the analytical approach is. Because this is a big word. And don't look it up in no dictionary. I want you to break it down in plain terms, because I explained that to you last week, Fresno. Hello, my girl. Baby cakes. Mm-hmm.
Girl, I'm on my stupid phone and couldn't even get it anyway. Anyway, it's when you analyze it.
But what does that mean? How do we analyze it?
You read, oh shit.
What is the analytical approach? What does it entail doing? What do we do?
You read it and then you think about it and then
No. That's what you would think. Okay, let me give you the clue again. That's the approach I use. What do I make y'all do? Whenever we read a verse of the Quran or even a hadith, what do I make you do? And y'all get mad at me. But that's the analytical approach that I use. I was taught that from my teachers.
You make us go look up the cotton picking words.
All right, so now tell me what is the analytical approach?
You look up the words and see what they mean.
Exactly. That's what it is. The analytical approach is you break down a verse of the Quran word for word based on the meaning. What does it mean to stomp your foot? So what does the word stomp mean? Stomp means to go up and down with your foot on the ground. So now that's the analytical approach. The analytical approach means that we break each verse down word for word. And a lot of y'all get angry at me. But I am a real teacher. I keep telling y'all I'm teaching y'all the way that the scholars teach. We have to make you break it down. You guys don't speak Arabic. You guys speak English. And the problem is that most of us don't even understand our own English language. So I make you get a dictionary and I make you break down the meaning of that word. That's the analytical approach. That's the approach I use with everything. Everything in Islam. Meaning the Quran, the Hadiths. I make y'all do that. That's why I tell y'all carry a dictionary. That's the analytical approach. What about this? Is this an approach? Thematic. Is that an approach to interpreting the Quran? What do you guys think?
That's another approach as well. But
Okay.
Don't ask me what it means. I ain't got my book. So I know that's one of them approaches that we was reading about yesterday or one of them days.
Mm-hmm. That's good job. Anybody else? Good job, Fresno. I'm proud of you. Who else? Old ladies, wake up. What's the thematic approach, Anissa? Supreme, what's the thematic approach? She probably say, oh, what day is it? Anybody else? What's the thematic approach? What does that approach entail?
So the analytism is basically the verse by verse, and then the.
I didn't say verse by verse.
Oh.
What does verse mean? Verse means sentence.
Okay. And then
what is the analytical approach, Mina?
A sentence.
No, it's not.
It's word by word.
It's word by word. It's word.
Oh, okay, I'm writing that down. Okay.
There's a difference between one word and 10 words. When you put more than one word together, you have a sentence. Now do y'all see why I use the analytical approach? Because most English-speaking Muslims don't even speak English. They don't know anything about English grammar or nothing because our school systems suck. They really do. So that's why I use the analytical approach. And in my opinion, that's the best approach when you're dealing with English-speaking people. So analytical approach is word for word based on the meaning of what each word means, Mina. Analytical is the meaning of each word in a sentence. And it also entails the sentence structure too. The analytical approach also entails the structure of the sentence. You know how I tell y'all what's the word before it? Y'all skipped over the pronoun before it. So it's the words and also the structure of the sentence, the grammar, all of that. That's analytical. You're breaking down the words of a verse. Verse means sentence. So now what's the thematic approach? Anyone?
Did I say it before, Layla? Because I thought I answered.
Oh, God.
I said the thematic is a theory of it.
What now? Okay, all you did was use a bigger word. So now what is the theory of it?
It's you can go off into a different direction, but it may not be correct.
I don't know what she talking about. Well, you just woke up or something? What the heck you talking about?
You said thematic.
Right. What is the thematic approach? The thematic approach to interpreting the Quran. What does the word theme mean? Thematic. Thematic is a word that branches off of the word theme. What is a theme? That's not a theory. A theory is a thought. We're not talking about thoughts. What's the thematic approach, people?
Mina?
Anybody else?
An object. The thematic is like an object. Like, say, for instance, if it's a bun in your hair, the shoe of your shoe. So it's like a I would want to say is something like a picture of a theme of whatever.
There you go. Thematic approach is a theme, something that we're discussing, like high heel shoes. That's the theme. I want to look for verses in the Quran that relate to a woman wearing high heel shoes. It's a subject. The thematic approach is we're going to look for verses of the Quran that addressed a particular subject or a particular issue. I want to see, are there any verses in the Quran regarding a woman wearing a nose ring? What's the theme? What's the subject? What's the item of the issue? Y'all understand now? So I use both of these. These are the two approaches I use. I'm going to make you analyze each verse word for word and how those verses are structured. And I'm going to relate those verses to a theme, be it a high heel shoe, or be it makeup, for example. What verses in the Quran relate to makeup? There are no verses that relate to makeup. Okay? Are there any verses that relate to a woman's face? Then that's when we start looking. So the analytical approach is when we interpret the Quran word for word, sentence by sentence, looking at the structure, the grammar, and all of that. The thematic approach is when you have a theme or a subject matter. What's the matter, the subject? Y'all see how this is a college course. That's why Sheikh Saud said, I don't know if Layla should be teaching that. Layla giving a lecture. No, I ain't giving a lecture. This is a course, a class. Okay? And then what about this? Is this an approach? Comparative. Is this an approach to interpreting the Quran? Comparative? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Now, this one should be easy. What's the comparative approach?
You're comparing when you compare the verses
to something, to whatever is you're relating into society. So,
yeah, like a,
right.
okay.
And then this is what I use. I use all three of these with y'all. All my classes, even my hadith classes, my Aqidah classes. I am Maqasidic in my teachings, even my Aqidah classes. What makes my classes different than what these other brothers are sitting around talking about? I am using the analytical, the thematic, and the comparative. I'll have a theme, an object of discussion. Then I'm going to have you analyze the hadiths word for word, or you're going to analyze the verses of the Quran word for word, and based on their meaning. And we're going to compare what Allah said, compare what the Prophet said, compare what the understanding of those companions was to high heel shoes. Y'all got it? I'm going to give you the hadith of Aisha and Ibn Abbas about how those verses of the Quran didn't relate to a shoe. It related to women stomping their feet to gain attention from men, because women used to prostitute. And even the ones that didn't prostitute, they had to do something to gain attention in order to be acknowledged. That's the analytical, the thematic, and comparative together. Most of us use this all together. Okay? Those are the different approaches. Good job. What about this? The interpreter of the Quran may adopt different methods. And we talked about this, how the interpreter of the Quran may adopt different methods to explain the Quran. Is this true or false? I'm going to use either one of those three approaches. I'm either going to use analytical or thematic or comparative. But I'm going to also add to that different methods. Is that true or false?
True.
Good job. Yes. Good job, ASCII. Good job, Sakina. Yes. So when we give you the meaning of a verse in the Quran, and this is the same for the hadith too. When we give you the meaning of a hadith, we're going to analyze it word for word based on its meaning and its structure. Okay? And we're going to try to apply it if we have a theme that we're applying it to. And then we're going to compare it to what's happening with you in your personal life or what's happening in society. And to do that, we use different methods to do that. How do we get to those answers? Well, here we go. Some methods used may be science and language. Is this true or false? It's science and language methods that we may use.
Yes, true.
Yes, I made the quiz easy for y'all. I told you I was going to make it easy. Exactly. Dr. Asim, he will use science because he's a scientist. Dr. Dramali, he uses science too because he's a scientist. They just have that type of brain. Dr. Asim uses language too, because he's a scholar of the Fusha, the original beautiful Arabic. And so does Dr. Jamali. He's a scholar of the language too. So they may use those methods. And there's other methods too, but these are the two that we talked about. All right. Last question. The method that is used must be supported by what? And it cannot change what? See what answers you come up with. The method. Yeah, go ahead.
The method used must be supported by the Quran, and it cannot be changed by anything.
No, thank you for trying. Anybody else? The method used must be supported by what? And it cannot change what? For example, let's say that I'm going to use the method of science to give you the meaning of a verse, or I'm going to use linguistics, language. What must I use to support it? Good job, Nadia. I have to support it with the hadith. It must be supported with the hadith, because as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what is the hadith? Can anybody finish that hadith? What did the Prophet Muhammad say about the hadiths? Anyone? Why is it that whatever
what the Quran means, the hadith is the interpretation of the Quran.
Yeah, the hadiths are the explanation of the Quran. So if I am going to use science to explain a verse of the Quran to you, I have to support my science or my theory, which is your thoughts, your opinions, because that's all that is. When we talk about science, we're talking about our thoughts, our opinions, or someone else's thoughts, someone else's opinions. When we use other people's thoughts or opinions, or even ourselves, it has to be supported with evidence. Evidence. And evidence is only from two sources, the Quran and the Hadiths. So, for example, if I'm going to tell you that when Allah says, oh, you women who believe, do not stomp your feet in public to gain attention, and I'm going to give you, well, the science of stomping your feet is to bring attention, because when you stomp your feet, what happens? You make a sound. It goes, bump, bump, a sound. So Allah is telling Muslim women to not stomp their feet, to not make sounds. Do not deliberately, intentionally make unnecessary sounds. Okay, what evidence do I have to support that? Well, the evidence is Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her. She said before Islam, the women used to go to the marketplace to buy food, some of them, and to get the attention of the merchants, they would have to stomp their feet. Why? Because the Arabic women wore bangles on their ankles, and by stomping their feet, it would make their bangles shake and jingle, and then the men would give them attention. And also the prostitutes. Many women would go to the marketplace to prostitute, and to get the attention of the men, they would stomp their feet. That hadith is authentic. That hadith is Bukhari and Muslim and Muwatta. Okay, so see how I supported my opinion with evidence. And evidence can only come from either another verse of the Quran. Remember we talked about that? Evidence can only come from either another verse of the Quran or an authentic hadith. So if I'm going to use the analytical approach or the comparative approach or the thematic approach, or if I'm going to even use science and linguistics, that's all okay as long as I support my end result with evidence. And that's the problem we have today. Most Muslim men and women, especially the ones you guys see on the internet pretending to be scholars. I keep telling you, 97%, I repeat, 97%, I repeat, 97% of the people talking about Islam on this internet don't know what they talking about, and none of them are scholars. None of them. Not any of them. The real scholars are too busy. You're not going to see them sitting up on this internet trying to talk to get no views. They're too busy dealing with the serious issues that's going on in the world. They're too busy, like Sheikh Abu Atayib, who is my teacher, who is a scholar of the ulama. They are too busy making sure that their students like me are keeping it real. They're too busy making sure that their students like me are addressing the public, because that's what we're supposed to do. We do the work for them. They give us the knowledge. We put it out there. Okay, I keep telling you guys that. So these people, they will take verses of the Quran, they twist them around to mean what they don't mean. That's why you have a lot of Muslim women who think that, we have a high apostasy rate. Muslim women are apostating from this religion like crazy because too many men have told them, because they're a woman, Allah made a mistake. They can't be beautiful. They can't wear colors. They can't wear makeup. They can't wear jewelry. They can't. And none of this stuff is supported with any evidence, because those brothers don't know the hadiths. If they knew the hadiths, they'd keep their mouth shut. Because most things in life are lawful. If I were to write a book and put down all the haram things, we wouldn't even have 5 pages. We would not even have 5 pages. Okay? So that's the thing. The method used must be supported by evidence. Evidence from another verse that is clear. And by the way, the evidence has to be clear. The nas has to be clear. That means it has to address the topic. If my topic is high heel shoes, you got to give me evidence that says high heel shoes. It can't say stomp your foot. It has to say high heel shoes are haram. There's nothing that says high heel shoes are haram. Okay? And what's the second part answer? The method used must be supported with evidence and not change what? What is it that the method used cannot change?
Can't change the meaning.
Exactly. It cannot change the meaning. So whatever method you're using, not only must it be supported with clear evidence, as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah completed our religion and he perfected it for us. The lawful and the unlawful have been clearly defined. There are doubtful things that you don't know. And if you come upon something that's doubtful, you stay away from it until you ask the people of knowledge. But Allah didn't leave nothing unclear. Allah is clear. Our religion has been perfected and completed. There's no question. And I've been saying this for 50 years. I've been teaching this for 50 years. There's no question or no scenario that any of you can come up with today that has not already been answered and addressed by the Prophet and his companions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I always dare you, try me. Give me a scenario and I'll give you the proof. This religion is perfected, completed. Safi, that's it. Okay, so you got to bring that clear evidence, and whatever method you're using cannot change the meaning of the verse. And this is what the innovators do. The people like the Shia and also the mystic Sufis. The mystic Sufis, they change the meaning because they read into the verses what is not there. And the Shiite, they just got a whole crazy way of doing things, man. They make up their own rules. So these are the things that we talked about last week. Are we clear? Are we up to date on this? Everybody with me on this so far?
Yes, better to me.
Okay, that's why it's important to have a quiz. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to give you a little bit more information. We're going to talk about the analytical interpretation. Okay? The analytical interpretation. This is the approach that I use. This is the approach that a lot of us use. This is the approach that Kareem Abu Zaid uses too. All of us, Jamali, all of us. Okay, and this approach, the interpreter deals with the Quran, as we said, verse by verse, word by word, following the compiled sequence of the written Quran. What does that mean? That's why I said word by word. We don't add to it and we don't take away from it. If the verse says, thou shalt not commit adultery, we analyze that verse word for word, saying thou shalt not commit adultery. Look up the meaning. We're not going to add to it. And fornication too, we didn't add that to this. So in the analytical approach, the interpreter deals with the Quran verse by verse, word by word. Everybody understand it? That's what that part means. Compiled sequence. This is a big word that Sheikh Kareem, may Allah bless him and forgive him of his sins. I mean, you know, this is a big word he used. Well, I'm gonna make it easier for you. Let me make this so y'all can screenshot too. Hold on, let me I'm gonna make my picture here smaller, make me smaller so y'all can see better. Okay, is that better? Okay, yeah. And this approach, you know, and when he says compile sequence, that means word for word. Okay. Also, not only does the person, the interpreter who's using the analytical approach, not only does he break down the meaning word by word, verse by verse, but he also expounds on the meaning, the clarification. In other words, is Allah's using the word them or him, the grammar and all of that. Is that word plural or is it singular? So we expound on the grammar of the verse and all of that too. That's how we analyze the literal meaning of what Allah is trying to say to you. And by the way, this is the same method that we use with the hadith. Did the prophet say high heel shoes? Or did he say stomp your feet? There's a difference between stomping my feet and a high heel. A high heel belongs to a shoe. Do you guys know sometimes people didn't have shoes on? They would just stomp their feet because it's talking about bangles. The bangles, the jewelry of the woman that would jingle to make the noise. So they expound on the clarification of the literal meaning of the Quran, verse by verse, word for word, chapter by chapter. Everybody understand that? And this is what Dr. Asim does too. When Dr. Asim in his class on reflections of the Quran, and when he was teaching the Quran interpretation with us, That's what he did too. And this is what Sheikh Saud is doing. Sheikh Saud, in his class that he just gave an hour ago, he breaks it down word for word, the meaning of al-falaq. Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq. What each word means, word for word. Also, whoever the interpreter is that's using this method, he or she has the primary duty to gradually bring about understanding of the meanings of whatever the text is through word usage. And also, they can give examples that the people can relate to. Okay, outside of that verse. This is the analytical approach. And what are some examples of tafsir that use this approach? Well, the works of Ibn Majah. Ibn Majah was one of the scholars of hadith. Also, Ibn Jarir at-Tabari. He uses this. Okay. They were the two of the best scholars in analytical tafsir. And like I told you guys, I use a lot of Ibn Jarir at-Tabari's work myself. I use a lot of his work because I am a keen on analytical. That's why I'm always on you guys about meaning. So now you sisters can see, rather than beat me up. How many of you been beating me up over the years? I don't want to learn from her. She makes me feel ignorant because she makes me use a dictionary. No, I'm a real teacher. You ain't used to nobody teaching you this deen correctly. I'm teaching you the same way that the companions taught. My teachers go all the way back. Y'all saw that ijaza thing that Sheikh saw. Our teachers go all the way back to the Prophet. You want to talk about Ibn Taymiyyah? Ibn Taymiyyah is one of my teachers. My ijaza includes him. Subhanallah. We're teaching you the right way. So Layla's not putting you down. Don't think that I'm demeaning you by telling you sisters and brothers to go look it up. Now y'all can see I'm teaching you the right way. That's the analytical approach. That's my specialty. Why do you think these brothers like coming here and having me teach their books? Because I can break it down. They all know Layla uses the analytical approach. She'll make them ponder the meaning of it like crazy. That's why they want me to teach their books. Y'all ever thought about that, Fresno? Why they want Layla to teach their books? Because I'm going to make you think about it. I'm going to make you understand it over and over until you do. Okay, that's the best approach to me. All right. Also, the analytical approach, when it comes to interpreting the Quran, of course, it begins with the words, word by word, section by section. The same with hadith. And also when we do the hadith, it includes the history. The analytical approach, which is what I use when I'm breaking down them hadiths, when I'm giving y'all the stories of the female companions, when I do the heroines of Islam, I'm giving y'all the history. The history, that's analytical too. Whereas Dr. Asim will use science, I will use history because I'm a history person. Mukhtar, my cousin Mukhtar, his thing is history. Mukhtar teaches the analytical approach. Our Imam taught us that. Why is it that Layla Nashiba and Mukhtar Shahid, we teach all that? We're analytical. That's what our Imam, who was our first teacher, taught us. Have the analytical approach, word by word. And what history, what was going on at the time? What was the history that was happening? So the analytical approach begins with the text from the Quran word by word, including the correct meaning and the rules of language and all of that, the rules of sentences, the rules of paragraphs, And then when it comes to hadith, if I was teaching the science of hadith, I'd throw in history to you too. We have to know the history. We have to know what the heck was going on when the prophet said what he said. So that's the analytical approach. Now let's talk about the second approach, the thematic approach. Now, the thematic approach, this approach is the closest to the higher aim. Y'all want to know why? Because thematic means you're going to have whatever it is relate to a certain subject, a certain theme. If it's relating to a certain subject or a certain theme, what happens? That means you're going to apply it to yourself. So that's why all of us, me, Dramali, Mukhtar, Sheikh Saud, all of us combine analytical with thematic. Because without the thematic approach, you're not going to benefit from what you're learning. The thematic approach causes you to take what you know and apply it to yourself, to a certain subject, a certain issue. Okay? And for the interpreter of the Quran who's using this approach, he seeks to study the Quran by, first of all, picking a particular theme or a particular subject. The subject can be wearing earrings or eating red meat or not eating pork or adultery or fornication or boyfriends or girlfriends. They'll pick a certain theme or subject. And then what they do is they apply it to what's happening, either in society, like we did with the Diluting Well Better series here, or history or science or whatever. So they combine theology, they combine society, they combine history with it. And then they come to whatever end or whatever the lesson is that they're trying to get you to understand. Okay, so that's why the thematic approach is the closest way of getting to that higher aim of understanding. Because remember, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, what's the difference between knowledge and understanding? Understanding is when you take what you know and apply it. The analytical approach, I'm giving you the knowledge. I'm teaching you how to come about the knowledge. But in order for you to understand what I taught you, you have to live on it, act on it, apply it to yourself. But if you don't be careful, if you just use the thematic approach, it can lead to some problems, which are some of the problems that we have today with the brothers down in Texas. Oh, yeah. Hot topic. They'll end up basing it on their opinions on society, basing their opinions on science. And they'll end up changing the perspective from what it should be. Like you see tonight, what's happening now, you got some of these Muslim brothers going around telling you that the laws of Allah can be changed based on circumstances, based on society. They're using a thematic approach. The thematic approach based on theory, based on science. Remember, the prophet said, don't make the mistake that the Jews made. The Jews used science as a means of changing Allah's laws, changing Allah's rules. The Jews looked at society as being different So they changed the laws. That was the thematic approach. And unfortunately, I hate to say that this is happening today with us Muslims. This is why Allah has sent this war. We got Muslim men here in America who are calling themselves scholars, who think that Allah's laws can be changed. That Allah's laws can be divided into two different categories. The ones that we can change and the ones that we can't. Anything dealing with Aqidah, they say you can't change. But they're saying we can change the laws of free mixing. We can change the laws and rules about women shaking hands with men. We can change the laws and rules about supporting LGBTQ. That's the thematic approach those brothers are using. They're using nothing but this. And that's why they're coming up with what we see happening here in America right now. And this is bad. This is wrong. Because we cannot change Allah's laws. Anyone that thinks they can, shame on you. And you're not a scholar. You're a disgrace. Okay? So when we're dealing with thematic, since the thematic tafsir is what leads to many problems like what we're facing here in America. And by the way, these brothers that are telling you that it's okay to go out and vote in elections, they're using a thematic approach. They're saying because we live in a Western society, we need to have a voice. They're changing. They're using thematic approach based on society and all that. But what did Allah say? Allah says in the Quran, they will never give you a voice. They will never hear your voice. They will always try to destroy you. So this is why the situation in America is so dire. These famous personalities that you guys think are scholars, they are not scholars. They are renegades, changing Allah's religion, doing the same thing that the Jews did. And that's their approach, thematic. So when dealing with the thematic approach, 3 steps must be adhered to. Number 1, the interpreter, he needs to compile relevant Quranic texts that relate to the subject matter. If you're going to say that we support gay rights, give us the Quranic text that relates to that. If you're going to tell us that we should participate in elections in America, that we should vote for these non-Muslim men and women, you have to compile relevant texts from the Quran to support that. And by the way, there ain't no verses in the Quran that support any of that. So I don't even know where these brothers are getting it from. They're just making up their own themes. Okay? Because there is nothing in the Quran, as you and I know, that supports same-sex marriage, LGBTQ, nor does it support voting in kafir elections, putting kafirs as rulers over us. In fact, we find verses that say the opposite. Allah says they'll never have your interests in heart. They'll never do anything except work to destroy you. But after they gather the text from the Quran, they then have to ponder and reflect upon the meaning of those words and then relate it to the human experience. What are these brothers basing their new trend innovation on? I don't know, because there's no text in the Quran that relates to none of that crap they're doing. Nothing. Allah's laws can be changed. Certain laws of Allah can be changed. Who said that? The Prophet didn't say that. The companions didn't say that. The Tabi'een didn't say that. And who cares what anybody else had to say? If it didn't come from the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if it didn't come from his companions, if it didn't come from any of those 3 generations of companions, then who else Everybody else shut up. That's what Allah said. I don't care what the Rashidians said. Who cares? They weren't nobody. Okay? So they study and ponder whatever evidence they comes up with, and then they propose a resolution. They propose a resolution that relates to the thing based on the Quranic verses and all that. That's the method that the thematic people use. This is the method that those brothers claim to be using. They claim that they are doing this, but they're not. Those brothers from out of Texas, they claim that they're coming up with these new rules, these new laws, free mixing, shaking hands, voting in elections, LGBTQ support, and the laws of Allah can be broken down in 2 categories. They claim that they're using the thematic approach. I'm here to tell y'all, it only works with the ignorant Muslims. Those of us who know better, we know that they're innovators. We know that they're liars. We know that they're not using this because there is no verses in the Quran nor the authentic hadith that's going to support any of the trash that they're doing. Nothing. But unfortunately, guys, there are more Muslims today who don't understand their religion than there are Muslims who do. Like Sheikh Saud said, what I am teaching you, this is advanced. You're not going to learn this stuff unless you go to Al-Azhar University. By the way, there's only 2 real Islamic schools. That online stuff, those institutes that y'all going to are not Islamic schools. You're not going to learn nothing. There's only 2 real Islamic universities, the University of Medina and Al-Azhar. That's it. Okay? This stuff I'm teaching you, this stuff that Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd put together in these books, you learn at Al-Azhar. You ain't going to learn from the brother that's sitting on YouTube talking about he's a sheikh. No. So unfortunately, most of the Muslims don't know this stuff. We just fall for the okie doke. We let these Ruwaybidah, the Ruwaybidah of today, they get on YouTube channels. They have their smiles, their trim beards, you know, all that charisma. They speak softly and they're so eloquent with their hands and fingers. They have PhDs from Harvard University, from Cambridge University, all the Kafir universities. And we're mesmerized by them. We think they're so intelligent. They speak over us, use words we don't even know the meaning of. And then they tell you because of that, we can change Allah's laws. And then we clap. We say, yay, let's go out and vote. Let's get some signs. Let's support the LGBTQ. Because we're ignorant. We don't know any better. Well, I'm teaching you differently. I'm teaching you better. All right. So I'm going to end this class by sharing this with you guys. Examples. How does the higher aim base interpretation differ? Well, the higher aim base interpretation differs because it builds on the thematic interpretation and raises the study through different tools while applying a specific approach to all aspects of evidence. They don't just pick one aspect, you know, all aspects. And also the higher aim interpretation searches for the Quran in an objective-based approach. These brothers are not using an objective-based approach. Okay? And then after they address each issue on an objective-based approach, then they come back with how we can apply it to our lives. That's not what these brothers are doing. And so I'm going to end this by giving you examples of notable works of thematic tafsir. Okay, for example, and these are, and I'm gonna be honest, guys, these examples are not in English. That's the problem. A lot of these tafsir books are not in English, or you might find some of a part of the book in English, but not all. Okay. But here's some here, you guys. This one here is in English. The Major Themes of the Quran by Rahman Malik. I think you can get this one in English. This one might be in totality in English. That last one. And then others are, I'm going to put all of them here. Y'all can just screenshot them. And like I said, unfortunately, these works, Saeed Coops might be. And Abul Ala Mahdudi, oops, let me go back. I think that one might be part of it in English, if not all of it. Take a screenshot. But then when you use a lot of these brothers' books, people talk about them. Like you're going to use Saeed Coops, they're going to call him an innovator, a deviator. Oh, he was a terrorist. He was this. The people nowadays slander. The real scholars of Islam were slandered so terribly. Okay, so if you even use these books nowadays and tell people you use them, they'll try to discredit them. But these are some contemporary works that combine the analytical and the thematic, like I do. I use analytical, thematic, and comparative. And one of the books that I personally like was Saeed Coops. But if I tell people I like Saeed Coops, or they'll tell me, oh, Layla, you an enemy, you a terrorist. Oh, he was executed. Oh, you a terrorist. But I personally, I did like Saeed Coops. Okay. All right. So that's where we're going to stop for today. And I know this was a lot of information. Like I said, what I am teaching you, you're not going to get nowhere else except in a real Islamic university. So what I want you guys to do is go back, watch the video. I will put some shorts out, inshallah. I've been wanting to teach this book for a long time. I am so glad that Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd put this book together, because I have been wanting to teach this for a long time. And now I can, alhamdulillah. So I'm going to stop right here. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Are there any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Did it make sense, Mina? And Fresno? Old ladies? Wait a minute. Where the old ladies at?
Yeah, well, yeah. Go ahead, Nina.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to go back and listen to the lecture again.
I know it's a lot, but did you understand the analytical and stuff now, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a lot of information. That's why Sheikh Saud said what he said. You know, this is advanced. This is kind of over the head of a lot of people. I'm going to be honest. It ain't too advanced for none of my students here. All of y'all.
The show ain't too advanced. He just didn't want to break it down. He was surprised that I wasn't in there. But from what I heard you say, he just surprised of the way people was coming at him. He didn't think nobody would come at him like that, I guess.
I think so too. Yeah, but all of my students in here, all of you are ready for this. This is not advanced over you all. You all, I've been wanting to teach y'all. I've been wanting to teach y'all this stuff for a while. But I had to work. You know, I couldn't do as many classes. I was working. I just retired 2 years ago. I haven't been able to do but 2 classes because of my job. But now that I'm retired, I got more time. That's all I got is time. So all I do is this, so I can do this stuff now. Brother Tajri, does it all make sense to you? Is it clear to you, Brother Tajri? Sister Sakina and Nadia and Akiz, is it clear to all y'all too? Oh, I didn't know I could click on this and it shows me who's on each platform. I don't have anybody on X right now. Okay. Why ain't it showing me LinkedIn? Okay, Sister Sakina said yes. Exactly. Good job. See, Sakina is a teacher. She's like Latifa. They all teachers. So y'all can relate to this. Y'all know we got to break stuff down word for word. You know, they a teacher like I was. I was a substitute teacher for a long time. Yeah. Okay, Sister Aski, kids, it makes sense to her. Okay, good, mashallah. Brother Tajri, what's up with you? Did he leave? He might have left for the prayer. I know I went over. Brother Abdul Zia, you got some comments? Wa alaikum salam. Brother Abdul Zia, you still here? I remember that name. He's not here now. Yeah, tomorrow is Friday, girl. We got, what do we have Friday, y'all? The weekends are busy at Sunnahfollowers. Oh, we got, what's his name? Brother Youssef is tomorrow. Yeah, the history of Palestine. The history of Palestine is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we have my class. Oh yeah, guys, let me put the commercial on. Get to know your Lord. Let's play that commercial. That's tomorrow. I'll post the pages up for y'all. Hold on, where is it at? Where that commercial at? I like that commercial. Where the men cry? The crying brothers. Now, where the brothers at? Okay. Wipe your tears.
Know your Lord. We learn about his names and his attributes. Know your Lord. What he approves and disapproves. Know your Lord. Believe in all things that he has brought forth. Know his oneness, Lord.
Know Your Lord, part of the Right Belief series by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid, right here on Sunnahfollowers. Being taught by Ustada Layla Nashiba as she lays down the foundations to get you together. Learn about your Lord. Know your Lord. Streaming on all major platforms. Channel Sunnahfollowers.
Yeah, that class is tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Yeah, it'll be at 6 o'clock tomorrow, and it's gonna be, I'll post the pages up. We're going into the first chapter because we did the preface and we did the introduction. So tomorrow we're gonna get right into the first chapter tomorrow. Yes. And so we got that class at 6. Then we have the history of Palestine with Brother Youssef at 7. And then we have the Call In and Ask Sister Layla live show. So you guys bring your questions about Islam tomorrow. Yeah, bring your questions in about Islam. All right, guys, I'm going to close out for tonight. This is a lot of information, I know, but make sure you guys, I'll try to put the video up tonight. I'm getting ready to do it now. I'm going to take off this hijab and I'm going to work it. I'm going to work on these videos tonight to get the shorts out and stuff, inshallah. So I'll be up all night. That's why I saved my coffee. Yeah. All right, guys. So subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. By the way, Jamali, you listening? Jamali, I sent you a video, dude. Hello? Dr. Ibrahim Jamali. I sent you a video. Check it out. All right. Okay. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Yeah, I sent that video.